the Capitals have won in overtime!
Your Locked On Capitals, your daily podcast on the Washington Capitals. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to an episode of Locked On Capitals, where we actually can talk about the Washington Capitals winning a game in overtime. Hi, I'm Tyler Kuehl, the inside of the insiders and the host of this little shindig we got going here, formerly known as the Locked On, the team that can't win in overtime. For the first time in 8 overtime games this season, the Washington Capitals have won one beyond 60 minutes in the overtime period. Holy cow, I'm on about 4 hours of sleep. Hi, everybody. How's it going today? So, what are we going to talk about today? Well, we're going to talk about stuff and things and stuff. That was a game. That was a game. We'll talk about the game against the Winnipeg Jets on Tuesday night, how it went, our reactions, the Kuehl caps as well. A couple deserved ones in this game for sure. Boy, oh boy, that was a. I did not expect that. The way the game started. I don't know about you folks at home, but I was mentally preparing myself for a similar show to what we did for the Boston Bruins, where I even started during the game. Not the case here, this one, folks, because the Washington Capitals made a comeback. Almost, yeah. They came back and then they blew the lead, and it was a game. It was a hockey game indeed. We'll also talk about the cool stuff. A couple cool things that happened on Tuesday, both in the NHL and in women's hockey as well. Briefly touch on that later on in the show. First of all, before we get too far into it, before I fall asleep as well, thank you all very much for watching another edition of Locked On Capitals here. Every day, free and available on all platforms, watching and listening, whether you watch us on the YouTube channel, Locked On Capitals YouTube channel, or you listen on your favorite podcatcher. We are there all the time. Yes, I know the hair is frizzy right now. I'm sorry. The static of the couch did not help me, and I just there was no saving this today. So that's why it looks like bedhead, because at 10:15 at night, long day. This is my first day back to work because I was in Detroit all weekend. So yeah, first day back in the studio at least, and yeah, had to get up early, and that was great too. So stick with me here, folks. We got this. We can get through this all together as one. Yeah, here we go. So the game against the Winnipeg Jets. We talked about how this was going to be an interesting game. The Jets have played well as of late. They have the talent. They have the scoring, and we saw it instantly. Dmitry Orlov gets a slashing penalty just seconds into the game, it seems like. I mean, Nikolai Ehlers, who we will mention those two later on in a different facet. Ehlers draws a penalty 22 seconds in. Well, pardon me. 22 seconds in was when the puck was touched. It felt like we dropped the puck and away they went. And they get the power play to the Jets. And boy, I mean, we talked about how good they were on the power play. Well, we didn't think it would be that good. Quick, good puck movement around. Mark Scheifele to Kopp to Connor. Bang, bang. All of a sudden, it's 1-0 just over a minute into the game. That's not good at all. All right. Well, what's even worse? How about just over a minute later? Dubois, Perfetti shoots. Perfetti scores his first National Hockey League goal. Saginaw Spirit legend Cole Perfetti scoring his first NHL goal to make it 2-0 Washington. First of all, congratulations to Cole Perfetti, a guy that was supposed to be a big part of the Canadian World Junior team this year, and if he wasn't going to get called up to he was under NHL contract, so he was not going to be able to go to the Olympics. But boy, I thought he was going to be something for Canada, but certainly showing here that, even in the limited role he's been given, he's had to step up for the Jets, whether because of injuries, because of COVID, and there you go, gets his first NHL goal. And I think that's going to be the first of many for this young man, because he is very good, very talented. For him, it was one of those things of getting drafted to a team. When he was drafted out of Saginaw, it was, you can't bring him up right now because there's no real spot available. And at that point, the Jets were a really good hockey team. And then, as the team kind of started to wear off, he had to find his footing at the pro level, spent a lot of time, obviously, with the Manitoba Moose in the American League. And it's good to see him get his first goal. It was a bummer, though, it had to be against the Caps, and his first to make it at that point 2-0. So we really thought, how can this get any worse? Because, like I said, it seemed like the first, three, I can't remember, it was the third or fourth shot of the game, the Jets just came out flying. Dare I say, pun intended, flying on the Caps. Washington, though, starts to settle things down around the halfway mark of the period. And when I saw the lines for the game tonight, I saw Hathaway on the wing of Kuznetsov and Ovechkin. And I thought to myself, no Wilson up there. And I know Peter Laviolette's trying to find some offense just by the way things kind of went this weekend, having, given up, only scoring twice against the New York Islanders, having had the issues against the Vancouver Canucks. And I was concerned on how they were going to try to pick it up because Garnet Hathaway on that wing, I'm like, he's a good player. He's been playing well, but how can he be effective? Well, how about this little play here? Ovechkin and Garnet Hathaway coming into the zone, kind of intertwining. Ovechkin drops in the puck, and Hathaway's on the right wing side. It looks like he has a clear shot at goal. A couple Winnipeg Jets defenders, don't remember their names off the top of my head, kind of standing right in the middle in the slot. And it seems like a lane over to Alex Ovechkin on that left wing side, but that doesn't seem like a good lane. A guy like Garnet Hathaway, he's probably going to shoot it, right? Nope. Zing. What? Well, not a one-timer. Collects it, shoots, and scores. Alex Ovechkin, 27th of the year, capture on the board. And the way Ovi looked to, he's like, that was a great pass. And I'm like, yeah, it was. How did he do that? Because Garnet Hathaway, his 7th assist of the season, we don't notice him as a, daunting playmaker like that. So, but certainly a good pass on the lease. And it's only a 1-goal game going into the first period. And the way the Jets started, we thought it was maybe 3 or 4-0 because yikes. But the Caps started to settle down. They started to turn things back in their favor. And then Dmitry Orlov scores in the second period, his 5th of the season. All of a sudden, it's tied at 2. And let's mention the Nikolai Ehlers thing here when we're talking about Orlov scoring. This was, if you guys saw the hit, Orlov ran into him. I don't know. It didn't look awful from where I was standing. It was a weird hit. I don't remember. I know that. Well, here's the thing. So let's go this. He got hit in a knee-on-knee hit. His left knee got hit. It didn't look like one of those, Brian Marchment knee-on-knee hits from back in the day where he stuck his knee out, did Orlov. It seemed like he was going for the check, was Dmitry Orlov, and Ehlers came in, and it just seemed like they just collided, but Orlov was going through, and Nikolai Ehlers hadn't completely gotten out of the way yet. And it was a knee-on-knee, but it's one of those plays that you kind of just watch back and you say to yourself, ugh, you think, I know that Winnipeg Jets fans probably want a penalty, and I would too, but it's one of those things that if you watch it again, watch it even in fast time, you can tell Orlov's not going for Ehlers' knee. Now, Ken Wiebe, who writes for the Winnipeg Jets for Sportsnet, has worked for The Athletic before. Actually, I've had him on my old show before a couple times. Great guy, former guy, come to Grand Rapids when he covered the Manitoba Moose back in the day. He tweeted out that head coach Dave Lowry says Nikolai Ehlers will be reevaluated, but the early indication is that he will miss more than just one game. Not good for the Jets. But it's 2-2 as we go into this third period. And you really didn't know what was going to happen, right? I really thought that this one's going to go down to the wire. I was sure of that, but I didn't know who was going to step up in the third period. Alexei Protas, who was on the line with Tom Wilson in this game during the first 3 periods, I was interested to see how much he was going to play. His minutes have gradually gone up more and more. Played about 13 and a half minutes in this one. And this weird play happens where Justin Schultz gets the puck in and gives the puck to Protas. And Protas, we know, he's 6'6". He's a big, tall kid, big, long wingspan. He makes this nice, slick move, fakes the shot on the left wing side. Hellebuyck overcommits, thinking this rookie's not going to just walk around me, right? Well, he darn near tries to, wraps it around, banks it off the defenseman, off of Hellebuyck in the back of the net. 3rd goal of the season, 3rd of his career, and the Caps are ahead 3-2 on the Yang Belarusian's beauty. And man, Nick Jensen went flying in the boards. It was great. He was okay though, thankfully. And I tell you, that was a great play by Protas because, like I said, this is a rookie. When you're a rookie, sometimes you grip the stick a little too tight. You think, I just shoot the puck, get rid of it quickly. On my stick, off my stick, right? Like that's kind of the old mentality. If you're a rookie, you don't touch the puck for more than a split second. Well, this is a nice creative play by Protas to have the patience to not just shovel a pretty routine save for Hellebuck. That would have been the result of the play. He just shot it. So faking it, taking it to that outside, trying to wrap it around. If there was a defenseman in front, you're right, it probably would have missed. But you know what? The kid's thinking, This kid's trying to do something that, typically someone in a situation might not try to do. That guy may just try to go all the way around with it and pass it out in front. He was trying to go for a wraparound goal, and he almost pulled it off, and thankfully with a little help he did. So it's 3-2 Caps. We're looking good, in a good spot. But we'll talk about what happened the rest of the way right after this quick message here from Built Bar, where it's the new year. It tells you about New Year's resolutions. And it's about getting fit or eating healthier. Make sure you include Built Bar in those plans. Built Bar is the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar and maybe even better than a candy bar. Built Bar makes it easier to stick to your resolutions as well because it tastes so good you want to eat it, unlike other protein bars, which can be chalky, waxy, or taste like chemical spills. Here's an idea for the new year as well. Go to all your secret treat stashes at home, in the pantry, at the office, in the car, wherever. Throw out all those sugary filled treats and replace them with Built Bars so when you're craving a snack or treat, you can reach for something that is healthy and tastes incredible. Go to Built.com right now to use the promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. Use the promo code LOCKED15 once again for 15% off at Built.com. So, late in the third period, Caps looking to find a way to close this one out. They take a penalty, but they kill it off. And then the waning minutes, puck's down low, everything's kind of happening. The Caps are trying to kill it off. Jets are pulling the goaltender. Adam Lowry has the puck, and he looks across and sees a wide open Pierre-Luc Dubois. I'm not a defensive expert and all, but when you're Trevor Van Riemsdyk, he's been around the league for a few years. He's played professional hockey for a few years, which means he's played the sport of hockey for a good number of years. I don't know what they teach in defense school where they say just sit on top of the crease and try to block the pass, but just completely ignore the fact and keep your head on a swivel to see if this guy that has 15 goals on the year is just sitting back door with a stick on the ice thinking to himself, this is really not going to happen that easily, right? Taps it in, 16th of the year with just over a minute to go, and we're going to go to overtime, which made me almost want to turn off the game, I'll be honest with you. I really thought to myself, this one's over. I mean, shootout. Yeah, maybe the Caps win a shootout, but shootouts are stupid anyways. Like, I don't even care if this game went to a shootout and the Caps won. I would have done it and be like, Caps tied this one, and allegedly 2 guys scored in the shootout. So, hey, they get somehow an extra point because NHL, welcome to it. But I turn, we start overtime, and they start off with Orlov, Kuznetsov, and Wilson. And I was like, that's an interesting start because no Ovi, because usually it was Kuznetsov and Ovi. And I thought, I remember when we did the whole board thing, we drew it out. We said, here's what you're going to have. You're going to have Kuznetsov, you're going to have Ovechkin, you're going to have Carlson. Those 3 guys are going to find a way to score you the game-winning goal in overtime. That's what's going to happen, right? Well, no, we're going to throw out Kuznetsov, Wilson, and Orlov. And Orlov, like I said, who had a great game. I mean, it wasn't like he was, a shell of a guy. He scored a goal. He played well defensively. Yeah, he took a penalty early on that led to the Jets starting off pretty quickly, but I thought he still had a solid game up until that point. So Kuznetsov gets the puck in the neutral zone and looks at 2 Winnipeg Jets defenders and says to himself, no, I'm going to take this back and, go on a little bit. Nope, I'm going to take it right at him. No, he doesn't do the stupid regroup in the neutral zone look because he doesn't get a good lane. He makes a good lane for himself. Toe drag between the legs on the backhand, and similar to what we saw from Protas, what does he do? Goes around the net. This time Hellebuck gets back into his post because he centers it out in front, goes off of Wilson, skate save made by Hellebuck, but the rebound is banged in. Tom Wilson, 12th of the season, overtime winner. That's right. The Caps won a game in overtime. I'm as shocked as you guys are. 1-7 now. In overtime, the Caps pick up the extra point. I was bethralled. I'm going to go with it. Bethralled that actually happened the way it did because, man, I really said, I mean, by the way, I mentioned the three. Of course, John Carlson wasn't in the lineup in this one. So, I mean, I can see why Orlov got the start. But that was my point about starting Ovechkin, at least you would think, right? But yeah, you can tell Wilson just found something tonight. He was having a dandy of a game. He was active. He was in the play. He was playing as a physical force, but he was also like it's just that complete player that we're seeing from Tom Wilson that we hadn't seen really for last few years. He was just a brute force that came down the wing and hit people and scored. But we're starting to see a more of a complete game from him. And man, what a dandy of a play too by Kuznetsov to set it up. The great move to get in the zone and create space. And I have my whole theories about how overtime should work in the NHL now because sometimes it can get boring. Kuznetsov didn't waste any time. He went right after it. The goal was scored just 26 seconds into overtime. Wilson bangs it in. You can just see hey, Wilson's reaction. Hey, we won in overtime. Isn't this neat? It was something. And gosh, you're just finally happy that it's over, right? I know it's not like the Detroit Lions breaking their nearly year-long losing streak, but my goodness, guys, the last time the Capitals won a overtime game in the regular season, you had to go back to May of last season to find that. Oh gosh, I had it pulled up here. Where is it? May the 8th, when they beat the Philadelphia Flyers in the second to last game of their regular season. Yeah, that was pretty cool. It was good to see the Caps get the win, and their record improves now to 22-9-9 for the time being. The Carolina Hurricanes won, but they still have a lot of games in hand on the Capitals. But as of right now, though, the Capitals are second in the Metro, behind the New York Rangers, of course, who are in first with 54 points. Caps, though, have played the most games out of the entire division now with 40 games. The Carolina Hurricanes have played 35. So certainly don't want to get too crazy about them being back in the top two. However, this win is important because it's a game against a good team. It was a game that really kind of the Caps needed to win to really get back into some credibility, get some credible wins here. I know they picked up a shutout against the Islanders, but we talked about it. That's a team you should beat. That's 2 points that you should have. So getting this win, a come from behind win too, even though you did give up the lead late, I think there's something the Caps can certainly hang their hat on as they closer and closer get their way back towards the All-Star break. They do have a day off on Wednesday before taking on the Boston Bruins, who got their lunch handed to them by the Carolina Hurricanes. That'll be the matchup on Thursday, so you can probably guess that they're going to be just a little excited to try to get back on the winning side with the Bruins. So that could be an interesting game, but we'll talk about that one tomorrow. Let's get to the Kuehl caps here of the game for Tuesday. Number one, Tom Wilson. Like I said, game-winning goal. Big thing there. That's obviously a facet that you really can't ignore. But a goal and an assist as well. And I mean, he stepped up. And I mean, Kuznetsov also stepped up as well. 27th assist on the season. 14th assist, by the way, for Dmitry Orlov. He also gets a Kuehl cap in this one. 14 assists now in the year, 5 goals, 19 points, 1 away from the 20 mark. I thought this was a complete game out of him as well, because there have been times when we've missed out on this from Orlov, because we've seen him play good defensive games too. And we've seen him chime in on the offense, but tonight seemed like Tuesday night seemed like it was just a little bit more of that involved for him. So good game out of him. And I'm going to give the other Kuehl cap, the third one here, to Vitek Vanecek. And, I maybe the Perfetti goal he'd like to have back, but the other two, bad defensive breakdowns around him, one-timers by Connor and Pierre-Luc Dubois backdoor on him. Come on, he's not going to stop those. And he had to make some big saves throughout the rest of the game, because the Caps ended up actually getting outshot in this game. I'm trying to think of how many times they've been outshot this year that they've actually won, because it's been a rarity that they've been outshot, and won't be that they've lost. 33-31 were the shots in this one for the Winnipeg Jets. 30 saves for Vitek Vanecek. Double V did not have to make any saves in overtime in the W on Tuesday. So those are my Kuehl caps. Wilson, Orlov, pair of 2-point games. as well as Vitek Vanecek picking up the win. And you know what? I mean, maybe he's getting some confidence back in him. Got that shutout on Saturday against the Islanders, and now has won back-to-back games for the first time since beating the Buffalo Sabres in early to mid-December. And then his next start was the Winnipeg Jets and that win up in Winnipeg. So trying to maybe getting some momentum going back in his direction. We'll get to some of the cool stuff, not the cool cast, but some of the cool news that came out, cool things that happened yesterday. But first, guys, BetOnline would like to wish you a happy new betting year as we continue our march to the playoffs and beyond. BetOnline remains the number one spot for all the best sports wagering action for 2022. New year and a new updated desktop and mobile website to sign up today to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use the promo code LOCKEDON to get started. From football, basketball, hockey. I did it again, hockey. I look at hockey and boxing. I'm like, hockey. If you go back to the 70s, it pretty much was. Hockey, boxing, and UFC right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Do not wait. Take advantage of all the amazing offers available for 2022. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all of your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. Before we get to the cool stuff that happened yesterday, a few games on tap for this Wednesday night. The Arizona Coyotes, hot off their Martin Luther King Day win over the Montreal Canadiens, head east to go to New Jersey, take on the Devils. The Devils had a couple days off because they had their game Wednesday against the Toronto Maple Leafs postponed. They'll be back in action after, I think, 5 days off the top of my head. The Toronto Maple Leafs, speaking of which, they're in Madison Square Garden. The TNT game of the night, or the Wednesday night hockey night on Sportsnet up in Canada. The Leafs taking on the Rangers. That is certainly teed up as a very exciting matchup indeed between two of the top teams in the Eastern Conference. The only game that we're going to see out west, 10 o'clock drop, will be the second TNT game. The Anaheim Ducks hosting the Colorado Avalanche. The Red Hot Avs against the Ducks that are kind of floundering a little bit, but thanks to some other teams floundering in that Pacific Division, still in a playoff spot as of now. Those are the Wednesday night games. A couple cool things also to talk about for Tuesday. Number one, the big one for me, and I think for a lot of young hockey players out there trying to aspire to move their way up the game, and that is the Premier Hockey Federation. They announced that there is a massive investment in the league from the ownership of the league and the board of governors. $25 million is going to be invested in the next 3 seasons, including $7.2 million next season, 22-23, to help expand the benefits for the players themselves. A salary cap that's gone up 150% from $300,000 this year to $750,000 this season, which also includes 100% health benefits for the players, 100% paid maternity leave, which is great for these players as well. And I did a little divvying up too. A lot of rosters around 22, 23 players. That's a little over 33 grand American per player, give or take. Obviously rosters fluctuate, but between 30 and 34 grand is going to be the salary for players, the average salary. And yeah, I know there's going to be fluctuating players, who's good and who's not, whatever, but $750,000 salary cap per team, which is something that is really exciting because it pretty much shows that they're right there. And that professional women's hockey, true professional women's hockey, is here in North America. And it's truly exciting to see. And this comes right after the Toronto Six, I know, lost a couple players to go play overseas in Sweden. And one went over to Sweden. I think one went over to the Chinese Women's League, which I know is pretty big. And this is great because that means it's going to attract more players. I actually was able to do an interview with Tobin Kelly, the owner and the principal owner and governor of the Connecticut Whale. We discussed a lot of the details and how good this is for the league and how it's going to affect the players. And we talked a little bit about the league's relations with the PWHPA, expansion. Hello, Montreal. They're one of them, but the other one yet to be determined, or yet to be announced at least. But there's a lot going on in the PHF, and I was really excited to do it. You can check out that interview in its entirety on the Locked On NHL YouTube channel or wherever you get your podcast on Locked On NHL. We did that interview on Tuesday and posted it right away. I was even shocked that I even got the interview with Tobin. I reached out and he said, hey, I reached out to the league on Paul Krotz, and I asked him, like, anybody available to chat? I'm Tyler from Locked On Network. I mean, I'd exchanged emails with Paul in the past, but I just with the busy day that it was, I figured I'd have to wait a day or two. And he's like, no, Tobin, who's one of the new owners. There's quite a few new owners this season with the PHF, and he was kind enough to take the time. We talked about 25 minutes on the whale and whatnot, and it was a good interview. Check that out for sure. Also, by the way, Willie O'Ree getting his number retired by the Boston Bruins. Oh, so well deserved. And a guy that's a true pioneer. I mean, the first ever African-American hockey player to play in the National Hockey, or excuse me, of African descent to play in the National Hockey League, and an advocate for the game, a guy that has helped try to push the game to help, more diverse backgrounds be interested in the game and show them that there's a path for them. And it's really, truly exciting to see and truly an honor to see number 22 go up in the rafters there at TD Garden. And that means no one is going to wear it in Boston Bruins lore ever again, and deservedly so. I know it's, you look at his numbers, you think, oh, he wasn't that good of a player. And doesn't matter. That guy broke ground for a lot of players that came along after him. Anson Carter, Kevin Weeks, Freddie Brathwaite. I can keep going on here. Mike Rigg, George LaRocque, Donald Brashear, and even see today guys like PK Subban, Keandre Miller, who's going to be something I think coming up here. And even, not even just players of African descent, guys like Nathan Kadri and, players from various backgrounds. It doesn't matter where they're from, who they're, what they look like, if they can play, they can play. And, obviously we saw that this past year as well with Luke Prokop coming out, being the first player with an NHL contract, the first gay player with an NHL contract, showing that it doesn't matter who you are, what you look like, what you believe in. You can play hockey. You can play in the NHL. And Willie O'Ree started that many years ago. So that is it for this edition of Locked On Caps, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for watching and listening. As always, be sure to follow us at Locked On Caps on Twitter. Follow me, the Insider of the Insiders, Tyler Kuehl at TJKU29. We'll see you tomorrow, getting you set up for the Caps matchup with the Boston Bruins on the Thursday edition of Locked On Caps. We'll see you then.